LincolnAirport.com. LNK, make flying easy.
Sometimes good people make mistakes. When you find yourself in need of an attorney, call Liberty Law Group. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group will defend you in court and protect your freedom to get you the best possible outcome and the justice you deserve. Trust your freedom to Liberty Law Group, the best criminal attorneys in Nebraska and Iowa. Call them today at 877-404-5238. That's 877-404-5238. Or check them out online at libertylawgroup.com.
MWR, a local company of Lincoln, is proud to announce they are able to offer their own post-frame building packages in metal to anyone desiring a building, whether you're a contractor or a DIYer. They can install your building as always, and they offer multiple different rib profiles and loads of color options, including the wood grain metal at great competitive prices. You can inquire at mwrbuildingandfence.com or just draw your desired building and submit it in their contact us page, and they'll get back to you. Call MWR today at 402-540-8966.
This is your year to win way more than bragging rights. At Warhorse Casino, your love of the game could earn you serious cash. The Pro Football Frenzy is free to play with cash prizes all season long, like up to $1,000 weekly, with your chance at $1 million, all while earning tier points and comp points every time you place a sports bet. Only at Warhorse Casino. Wagers may only be placed on Nebraska-based teams when played outside the state of Nebraska. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Gambling problem? Call 1-833-BET-OVER.
Bauer Underground has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know that the best workers in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and a pedigree of success. They're offering top-notch benefits, a matching 401k, and a $600 per year clothing allowance. Bauer Underground, a family-friendly company with plenty of room for advancement.
Most resolutions for the new year fail before January is even over. Why not resolve to just be a little bit cleaner in 2026? Nebraska Auto Detail is here for you. Now through March 30th, if you purchase a ceramic coating, you'll get a free interior detail. There's no better way to start your year than taking care of your car and decluttering the mess that it becomes so easily. Book your detail today at NebraskaAutoDetail.com or call Joe and the team at 402-601-5086.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
A new season, a home crowd, a fresh start. Love Nebraska opens its 2026 home schedule on Sunday, January 11th at Baxter Arena, hosting Love Houston in the home opener. First serve is set for 3 p.m., and the excitement starts the moment the doors open. Don't miss the chance to see elite professional volleyball featuring Olympians, All-Americans, national champions, and more as the season officially gets underway. It's opening night, Nebraska. Be there. Get tickets now at lovneb.com/tickets.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your Lincoln forecast for today. We'll see increasing cloud cover throughout the day and a light breeze. The afternoon high around 42. Tonight, decreasing cloud cover and light winds, a low around 25. And tomorrow, we'll see mostly sunny skies return. It'll be breezy and cooler with a high near 38. I'm meteorologist Kyle Flecker from 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Are you tired of living in pain? At Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, they make it simple. From head to toe, spine to extremities, they've got you covered. Their multi-specialty team of experts in orthopedic surgery, plastic surgery, podiatry, physical therapy, and occupational therapy all work under one roof to get you back to living life pain-free. Don't wait another day. Visit prairie-ortho.com today or call them at 402-489-4700. Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, where healing begins.
If your home isn't delivering the year-round comfort you expect, call the experts at Bryant. Need service? Call 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
January is your reset button. This January 10th, Carroll's Extreme Body Shaping in Lincoln is kicking off our 10-week challenge. We combine high-energy kickboxing, powerful strength training, and simple, proven nutrition to deliver real results in just 10 weeks. For a limited time, get $150 off when you enroll today. No gimmicks, just coaching, accountability, and a community that pushes you to win. Spots are limited, so don't wait. Visit fxblincoln.com and start your strongest year yet at Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping. 2 locations, South 40th and Yankee Hill, North 70th and Vine. Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping, changing lives 10 weeks at a time.
Hey, to celebrate, how about we play a little old school double dribble?
Okay, but no stupid shots from the corner because that's a glitch in the software.
Game on!
Welcome in to the Corner 3, taking you around the arc of college basketball. From the NAAC to the Pac-12, the WCC to the SWAC. We cover it all now on 93.7 The Ticket.
Oh, you dropped something. I think I'll head over in this direction. Corner 3!
Here is your host, Austin Orman.
That's right. Welcome in. It is the Corner 3. Hope you enjoyed the new intro. I was recently made aware of that Family Guy clip over Christmas break. I'm like, okay, this has to go in the intro, in the open. I had no idea it existed, and so now it exists here on the Corner 3. I was not a big Family Guy guy growing up, so thank you to the person who made me aware of that. I don't even know the person it was that made me aware of Jacob Bigelow's existence. So I'm glad they did. Biggs is back! Jacob, hello.
Here. Hello, and you're back too. The last time I was here, you were getting ready to, go do real world stuff for a little while, and no, it's good to be back, man. Fun weekend of college hoops. The first,
they all are.
Yeah, well, everyone, mostly fair, but yeah, it's the first weekend slate of 2026. Gonna sneak over, watch some local inner Lincoln high school basketball tonight. I'm excited to sneak over there. It's that time of year, man. I'm happy to be back.
It absolutely is. We are glad to have you back. And you are here, as I teased at the end of Old School, in your official capacity of president of the Homeowners Association on Braden Frager Island. I made light of it. You did not. And you're right. You get to take your victory lap. I get to sit here and let you tell me why you were right and why I needed to believe sooner. Which we'll do. We'll also talk about some turmoil for some Blue Bloods. And as you alluded to, that's a fantastic weekend coming up in college hoops. 402-464-5685 if you've got any Nebraska, Indiana thoughts as well, or thoughts on Braden Frager, whose alma mater has a huge weekend that you alluded to in an intra-city battle between Lincoln Southeast tonight before taking on Omaha Westside and number 1 versus number 2 tomorrow. And let's start there. Biggs, I know you're the Omaha guy. I'm the Lincoln guy. You're definitely more the prep hoops guy compared to me, though. Lincoln Southwest has never really been a team that's jumped off the page for you in, high school hoops. They're there. They're fine. They got some talent. But last year, going into it, they lose this Braden Frager kid. One of the better players in the state, got his own, notoriety for his exploits on the hoops floor. And Nebraska recruited him. Seemed like recruiting win. Hey, they got a local kid. Good on him for it. And then he comes to Nebraska. He reclasses and sits for a year. And I'm more familiar with the year 2 Fred Hoiberg transfer, which you can kind of look at this as for Braden Frager, but I didn't see this coming. You did. Take me back to Lincoln Southwest Braden Frager and through his redshirt year, why you saw this year.
Well, I may or may not have seen it coming to this point, and we're halfway through his redshirt freshman season, and this should be his true freshman season, and he has exceeded even my expectations. And I was kind of, I was trying to conduct the hype train a little bit, going back to last spring, really, and then over the summer and into the fall. And I do appreciate you finally, someone I was asked recently, when is someone going to point out, no one was on this more than you, someone that was brought up to me recently. But Braden Frager, when I first talked about the way I described him, it was when I was doing my podcast, rest in peace, with my guy Joe Jackson, who does the film breakdowns now. Great Substack, I can't recommend it enough. And he asked me about Frager going into last year, and he was just, and I was like, they'll call a lot of guys, late bloomers. And I thought Frager was an early bloomer. You don't see a lot of high school juniors who could jump like him, who had the dunk reel that he had. I remember when he first committed, people were like, "This dude has a dunk reel," and it was his. It was
Cole. White boy from Lincoln Southwest got dunk reel.
Yeah, some when he was playing with everything to gain out of Omaha, and then at Southwest, obviously, and you hear, I used to be way more plugged in with the preps, the high school stuff than I am now, but talking with, some coaches and, people who played against him, it was almost like unanimous, like, yeah, that guy's got some stuff to him.
Mm-hmm.
And it depends on how you perceive having some stuff, some stuff to him. There's the Big Ten cliche of, the white guy that everyone hates unless he's on your team.
We can name the archetype. It's Aaron Kraft, it's Brad Davison, it's Jordan Bohannon.
It's those guys. And
Ethan Happ.
And what I think
funny how they congregated a couple schools, but that's besides the point.
But yeah, and like Nebraska, there's been Nebraska fans who for years been like, where do we get one of those guys? Where do we get one?
That's me, guilty.
And little did you know, he was about 20 minutes that way. And he grew up coming to games. Our guy, Big Game Wilson Moore had a great, anecdote in his feature story on him earlier in the year of like the Purdue game 2 years ago, which was 2 years ago tonight. Funny enough, 2 years ago tonight, Braden was a high school junior and he like stormed the court and he was like you grew up a Husker fan and the euphoria.
And it actually meant something.
It did. The euphoria of that moment and what it meant, like that was not lost on him. And now here we are, 2 short years later, and he's, averaging double figures a game off the bench. He's, getting recognition for both good and bad, depending on your perception. If the phrase "go green" is in your vernacular, you have, you feel some type of way about Braden Frager already. But there's, it's the way he carries himself. It's how he's played. He's jumped off the screen, watching, tape or, going to game or seeing or going to games, since he was a junior and then playing in the AAU stuff. And, part of it was also my trust in the Nate Lenzer player development plan. And, that is, a lot of the flowers that, that Coach Lenzer's been getting has been about the defense and the defensive coordinator and all that stuff. But, we like to forget Nate Lenzer was a G League head coach and he had a very prominent, role in, player development in the Bulls organization and, worked with guys like Zach LaVine and, other, notable, guys that were in that organization back in the Fred Hoiberg era. And, that is like the unsung, specialty of Nate Lenzer. I think the world of that guy. And the combination of all of that, I'm like, this guy's going to be fun. And so far he's lived up to that and then some.
When he came to Nebraska after reclassifying, what did you think was the most important step along that Nate Lenzer player development plan for him on the court? What was it about his game that they liked? And then what needed to take a step to where they were about to yank his red shirt last year?
I think they liked the athleticism first and foremost. And, that goes back to, what I was talking about earlier. I think what they wanted to work on was the outside shot. The release is still can look a little funny at times, a little, it's not, it's not out of the how-to video by any means, but it's, as I've, been told my whole life, ugly, but effective, it's, it's, you gotta, especially if the ball's going through the basket. And then just his, some of his, off the dribble moves, the big and one against Bynum at the end of the Ohio State game in Columbus. He's I think, they didn't want to work on this, but I think he's fearless. That is like he is fearless. Like he does not, previous Fred Hoiberg teams, you could feel like a little bit of a tension convention late, guys, tensing up, a little bit of a pucker factor, coming down the stretch. That's never gonna be Braden Frager. That's never gonna be him. And he's fearless. There've been multiple instances where they're like, go make a play 5. Like, what does that say about, on a team with a 7th year senior and, plenty of guys with a laundry list of experience that, late games, they've looked to him. And I think the outside shot was the thing that they wanted to develop and probably a little bit of the mental stuff too, given, the some preconceptions about him, whether true or false. Those were probably the two things first and foremost, and then they wanted to fine tune. How can you use this athleticism? How can you use the handle he has at his size, and be a guy who's on the floor in crunch time.
Let's pick the nits here really quick because that's all the good stuff. Handle's still a little loose. It looks a little funky, unconventional. Not a ball stopper, but you can tell sometimes he's a freshman trying to remember what the right read is or what the right play is. Little bit of a heat check factor here and there, but that's picking nits for a freshman. A guy who had to work on his game to that degree. What I like about what he's brought to Nebraska is that X factor sort of mentality, right? I go back to like a 2013, 14, 15 Grantland article, X factor versus glue guy. Glue guy to me, I'm wearing a Cooper Flag shirt, by the way, but glue guy to me is like a Sion James, right? Or a Matt Jones from Duke teams of the past. You know what you're going to get from him night in, night out. They'll have games where they're your leader and they make a big play at the end, but at the very least, you're always going to be better with them on the floor than off. On the flip side, X factor is, I'm trying to think, like Alex O'Connell, right? For the Duke example, right? I mean, some nights he's going to be a 0 because he doesn't play defense, the shot's not falling. Some nights he's going to go for 30. He's going to hit you 7 threes, and he's going to be a pain in the butt, and other people are going to remember the Alex O'Connell game forever, right? Or, Mitch Ballack, I think, would be more an X factor for me. Maybe he's a glue guy. I'm not a Creighton guy. We'll leave that to people up the road. But, to me, Frager fits firmly in that X factor category. Just going off his game scores from Sports Reference here, he's had, of the 15 games he's played in, 9 games have rated out as above average, only 6 below average. It's an interesting kind of combination of games here. So the below average games for him, with a game score of 10, that's average here. It's the John Hollinger metric, well-respected NBA guy, a statistician and whatnot. 7.5 game score against Winthrop, game Nebraska didn't ever really pull away comfortably in. 5.1 game score against USC Upstate, 3 game score in Maryland Eastern Shore, a 1.7 against Creighton in 21 minutes, a negative game score against Oklahoma in just 8 minutes, and then you have a minus 1.5 game score on the road against Illinois, but he played just 13 minutes. Okay, so 2 pretty notable games stand out there. Didn't do anything, in fact, hurt Nebraska per this metric in his minutes against Oklahoma and Illinois, was just kind of out there holding down space against Creighton. But that's 6 games. 6 games for the first half of a season for a guy in his first collegiate eligibility. You look at some other game scores. His highest game score came in the win against West Georgia. Was really good against New Mexico, helping him win MVP of that tournament based on what he did against Kansas State as well. A 17-4 against New Mexico, a 12-4 again, where 10 is average in the Hall of Fame Classic down there in Kansas City. Scores 16 points in the championship win against Kansas State. Hits 2 big threes, also adds 6 rebounds. Was the star of the show for Nebraska against New Mexico, 20 points, knocked down 4 threes. Was really good against Wisconsin in the blowout, helped spark Nebraska against North Dakota. Played a huge role for Nebraska late in that game against Ohio State. And then the Michigan State game. He only graded out as an 11.4 game score, 3 of 8 shooting, but all 3 of his makes were from 3. Also added, here's the thing, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and 4 steals. Right? Jack of all trades, athleticism that Nebraska doesn't have. And I think most importantly, Biggs, the mindset that Nebraska doesn't have. Right? I think to me, the edge and the not even unpredictability, but in a good way almost, that he brings, there's an edge to this kid that I think is real, that's not contrived. It's not an act.
No.
He's about that life, like it or not. The deal with Fears, crossed the line. I don't think he knew the history. No. I think that was a young freshman getting caught up in the moment. But Nebraska needs some of that. Fred Hoiberg talks about how mature this group is, and that's a great thing. I've always been team steady as she goes, stay consistent, never too high, never too low. I love that. But I think there's a part of emotional maturity where you rise to meet the moment. Sure, Frager will go above and beyond. But I think for all the steady guys that Nebraska has in Rink Mass and Price Sanford, in Jamarcus Lawrence, Jared Garcia, Cale Jacobson, Sam Hoiberg, I think is even there too, with, again, good feature by Willie about the work he's done mentally. Nebraska's men's team, and pick a program really, have needed that emotional spark to not just stay level, but to meet the moment emotionally. It's okay to get a little bit high when things are excited. Yeah, Nebraska needed to reel him back in, but where would Nebraska be without Braden Frager's edge in some of these late game moments? I don't hesitate for a second to say, without that edge, Nebraska's not still undefeated.
Yeah, I mean, and I think you think back to the earlier, Fred Hoiberg teams, or even like the team that will be talked about forever as the team that started, that flipped it. It's been led by workmanlike older guys who, like, no slights to any of them, are boring. Like, they're not like they can occasionally be good quotes, but they're like, it's workmanlike, it's business as usual, it's level-headed, it's not, God bless Sam Greasel. God love him. Lincoln East Zone, Lincoln, the hometown kid. Aside from when they beat Creighton, and there was that clip of him like hitting the big like fist pump in Omaha. Dude's emotions, like he wore the heart on the sleeve as the hometown kid. But between him and Walker and
But they weren't the emotional leaders.
They weren't emotional guys.
Like,
It was just
leaders,
guys
but,
from. It was
this
just
phrase.
guys from. That was when they were really hammering home the winning attitudes, winning programs. Guys who they know what it takes.
Yeah,
and
Vanderbilt was probably the edge on that team, but even that, he went down halfway through.
And earlier, in earlier Fred Hoiberg teams, it was all dudes who were head cases and were always riding high and were super, like maybe more so there to talk than play ball. And I mean, the imagery from that Michigan State game that I think is a great representation of that roster. Like it's been talked about ad nauseum. It's an older group. They've got a 7th year senior. Jared Garcia is a father. He is at his, he's riding out the end of his college career too. And to keep Frager from getting a second tech against Michigan State, the guy who is literally a dad picks up the kid on the team, the youngest dude on the team by far,
still,
and
after a year in college,
and picks him up and was like, "No, like we're not now. No, we're not doing this." And they've got, it's a group of old heads who, like, credit to them. It's like we know how good we are. We know what we want to do. We know what our goals are. The whole deal. But like to have. I mean, it's as cliche as it could be, but the spark plug off the bench, who's like, here's, it's like if you're at the hibachi place and they're making the onion tower.
Yeah.
Nebraska's the onion tower. And then Frager is like, we're going to light it up now. There you go. Like, that's Braden Frager. He's the oil that lights the onion tower, the hibachi tower on fire. That is the most like old man, comparison I've ever made in my entire life.
No, it's not.
But no, there's
come on.
There's been worse. There's been worse. But like he's the energy. He's all of the coaching cliches, and and in that we can end on this. People can call him a curmudgeon-y, crotchety old man all you want. Tom Izzo's saying, I think that kid's going to be pretty good. I'm going to trust Tom Izzo.
I was at that press conference. I didn't get crotchety. I didn't get curmudgeon at all from Tom Izzo. That was a killer press conference. Well, I love that.
Well, and then look at what Izzo's been talking about since that game. He was glad Fears was getting in his face. He was glad Kohler was yelling at him. He's like, I'm glad guys are showing that attitude because it means they care. And that was a question with these earlier Fred Hoiberg teams where it was
they cared about something.
They cared about something, but what did they care about? And who's going to care more about the success of Nebraska basketball than the first scholarship player to sign with Nebraska out of high school from Lincoln in 20 years?
20 years. 20 years.
Yep.
That's most of our lives.
Yep. Yeah.
20 years.
Yeah.
It took wandering in the wilderness to just sign one, not even to get like production from one, but to sign one.
Yeah. They got a commitment from one. He didn't end up here.
He did not.
But for it to be the first time in 20 years, and I mean you're never gonna have to question how much he cares.
Yeah.
Ever.
The other numbers that I would like to look at here really quickly with Braden Frager, I think we're both big Evan Miyakawa guys. Evan Miyakawa has Braden Frager as a net positive for Nebraska, but he has him as their 7th best player. Think about that. He's 7th best by his Bayesian performance rating. He's still behind Connor Essegian, which is funny. That's how big an impact Essegian made. And sure, season cut short by injury, probably some preseason priors baked in there. Now for Frager being the 6th man to still be 7th on Nebraska in quote unquote value here, that's the question that you said. Spark plug off the bench at one point in your answer there. Braden Frager might be a better basketball player than Bearcade Boyington, but there's no reason Nebraska should start Frager over him. Right? I think that would be the one place that people would go. But this team loves what Bearcade Boyington does defensively, a more consistent defender. I think Bearcade is starting to bring some of that edge as well. Not the same, right? The offensive confidence, I think, is still up and down. But Bearcade knows what he's doing on the defensive end. You could tell against Michigan State when Bearcade went out and Jared Garcia came in, that's when the miscommunications happened. Bearcade's really grown into his own on that end. And so, yeah, it'd be cool, if or when Frager starts, probably next year, I would guess. But don't rush it, right? Obviously, we're not hoping for any injuries or anything in the starting lineup where he has to step in. He's in the perfect role for him right now. And even if the numbers say he's Nebraska's 7th best or 7th most valuable player, he might be top 3 most important players for Nebraska.
I agree, 1,000%. And if anything, if anything else, it's for the intangibles that we've talked about. Like it's for that spark, that edge, that they've got, like Greg McDermott said, they're champions in their role or whatever. Like you've got the old guy, the 7th year senior who has a physics degree and
he's graduated twice. So Sam has the graduate pass. Rick says times 2.
Yeah, and a master's in applied science. You've got the 2 guys who are going to be coaches, who are coaches on the floor. And Sam doesn't want to be a coach. He's going to be a great color commentator. But
did you know he called a game?
I did. And he's got another one on Sunday. But the guys who are like the coaches on the floor. You've got the guys who, for lack of a better term, are like the unk vibes.
They're all unk.
of Kendall Blue and Jared Garcia. Like what stuck out to me in that cinematic recap from Michigan State was they're in the locker room at halftime and Rank's talking to him and who does he mention by name? Like listen, he says what Kendall said. Listen to Kendall, like what Kendall said. And his role has not been what we thought.
Kendall Blue, where are you?
But like he still has a role, and he's and that stuck out to me of the legitimate like leader of the team being like what Kendall said. Like you gotta he's still speaking up in the locker room at halftime. He's still making an impact, and then all the way down to there's all the character archetypes on this team and for different reasons. There's not exactly like the Keisei Tomonaga's not walking through that door in terms of like
speaking of edge, by the way.
In terms
that was edge.
Yes, that was edge and plenty of emotional variance as well. But I think that just a little bit of I can't say it on the radio, but a little bit of that, like not.
It's
not,
like that meme, like God is like, listen, add a sprinkle of this. Whoops.
Yeah, whoops. But Braden Frager, it's just a little sprinkle. Amongst a bunch of guys who have, they have 401ks, they have IRAs, like they're grown ass men, and then there's a little extra sprinkle of that mantra.
Sean on our Starter Heyman Jewelers text line, Frager is tops in sheer athleticism. His ability to get to the rim has also been huge for Nebraska this year. Absolutely, it has. He's hit his free throws for the most part. He's never missed more than 1 free throw in a game so far in Nebraska, knocking on wood, of course, with Nebraska having a game tomorrow. I will say this, sheer athleticism, you think about speed, you think about running, jumping. Yes, tops on the team. Let's not discredit, Sam's quickness. Quickness is also athleticism, right? Explosive as he has to be to get side to side and recover. That's athleticism. Jamarcus Lawrence can get up when he really wants to, right? And Nebraska's got, it's not great. It's not elite, right? Fred Hoiberg's quote before Michigan State was, if you lined all our guys and Cohen Carr up on the baseline to do a sprint, some of our guys might be at half court by the time he gets to the baseline. Absolutely applies, which is kind of funny. I do want to get to this too. This is from the high school recruiting and signing point. So 4491 says the Duke fan, would you even go to Nebraska? First of all, I'm just going to stand up, get to stream here, people. I'm just going to turn around briefly. Okay, for those of you who are listening on audio, you have to go back and check out the stream to see what I just did there. It wasn't anything bad, right? It's not provocative or anything. But, would I even go to Nebraska? This is the thing that people miss when I bring up my Duke fandom bigs, is that, I've been waiting my whole life for Nebraska men's basketball to be a winner. I've told you the story about what I said to your former boss, haven't I?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was a Nebraska men's basketball fan first, and that's true. I've been waiting my entire life for Nebraska men's basketball to give me a reason to be happy. I was there watching the games, right? I know Big 12, sponsored by Motel 6 and
Phil
66
halftime show.
Yes, I was raised there.
Yearly, they're like, oh, they're actually playing Kansas close. Are they gonna get Kansas? And then Kansas pulls away late.
There we go. I watched the Texas upset. That's where I come from, and so. I was never that good. I could have done something in college in basketball or baseball, not at this level. So it never really crossed my mind, would I go to Duke or Nebraska? But I get a lot of guff from my Duke fandom. I'm very public about it because I enjoy watching them. But it's not like Nebraska's just this other program. Oh, you're covering them now because they're good. No, I've watched Nebraska basketball my entire life. I've suffered through it. I've been in the fight.
No, I'd argue that there may not be two more voices talking into microphones, and that's I like you. We are good friends, but the two pretty unique perspectives on Nebraska basketball and where it's been, and I know this wasn't originally on the prep sheet, but I've been trying to tell people, people have been not jumping the gun or jumping the shark, but talking tournament seeding and talking about net rankings and analytics, and I'm just simmer down a little bit.
Sit back, enjoy the ride.
Yes. How many years Nebraska hasn't even had a seat on the ride? They're not they don't meet the height requirement. They're they get in line
as recently as last year to their own conference tournament.
They get in line to get on the roller coaster, and they're like, no, you're not tall enough.
We see that you're 3 children stacked in a trench coat.
Yeah, we see that you're 3 children stacked in the trench coat, and you're, counting down the days till nothing burger spring football practice. You can go, you can get on back. But that's, just enjoy the ride. That's my overarching theme. I know people have already gotten to what defines a successful season, what everything always has to be so big picture, and I don't want to say it's a referendum or whatever, because we'll save that for football season where every where every bad result is a referendum on every single thing. Basketball, where the program's been, and is this a dream season, and the parallels between a team that's getting ready to play here in a CFP semi and Nebraska basketball, I would argue that here's the biggest difference for me between that comparison. I know we probably have to hit a break soon, so I'll try to make it as quick as possible. Indiana football, and you still hear it how are they doing this? That's a basketball school. And it's just that is the perfect example of the sleeping giant adage gets thrown around a lot, thrown around, close to home quite often.
Right.
Shout out to a former interim head coach saying they don't want this, to wake up. But there's a whole, that is a perfect example of what winning can do. What the combination of a coach and winning and just
a big old alumni base,
a big old alumni base that has money, and people will be like, oh, of course they're winning. Look they got Mark Cuban. You think Mark Cuban is how they got the JMU guys? No. That set the foundation and were that came in with Signetti right away. But what I was originally trying to say is there's been there are Indiana football fans. There have been people who care about Indiana football, but there has not been as passionate of a group of diehards. They weren't filling Memorial Stadium in Bloomington every Saturday watch Tom Allen, tell them they needed to love each other. They weren't, and there's always been passion behind Nebraska basketball. And I know that I've seen it up close. I was a part of the program for 3 years. I covered it, for close to 4 years. There's always been a passion there. There's always going to be people who care. And there's always going to be, there's always been a devout group. And that's the biggest difference, I think. There was a great, write up in the Ringer yesterday from their editor who grew up in Bloomington and went to IU, and is like, you can call this a dream season all you want. Indiana fans would have never dare to dream of this.
Yeah.
Nebraska basketball fans are always dreaming. They're always dreaming. Every year it's always the dream. And the dream is not, are they good enough to make the Elite Eight? It's not, are they a Sweet 16 second weekend team? It's, let's just get the first one.
Right.
Let's just get the first one so they're not alone on the graphic every year for the rest of time. So they're not, the last team that has shown longest tournament droughts, Nebraska. Never. They just get that stank off of your program, and then the possibilities are endless. I'm not gonna say they're gonna become a blue blood or they're gonna win national championships, but if you get that stench off of the program,
you have the baseline minimum of self-respect.
Yes.
I'll say this. I do think, to your point about the passion of the program, if or when Nebraska wins in the round of 64 this year, I still think fans will show up at the round of 32. I don't think they'd pack it up and look to spring football.
I would tend to agree with you.
I will also say this. As much guff as I get from my Duke fandom and whatnot, it's given me perspective. Get outside the dang bubble. That's part of what this show is about, right? Opening up some avenues, opening up some eyes and some doors, because guess what? College sports are bigger than Nebraska. You got to be able to see the whole picture to understand your place in it. Yes. And I think Nebraska basketball fans are struggling to do that. And fans are probably doing a little bit better right now. But yeah, I'm a 402 kid. You're a 402 kid, right? I mean, Nebraska is what we grew up on. There's always an appreciation at the bare minimum. And sometimes, a love for these programs. But it's good to branch out, expand your horizons a little bit. Don't be afraid to root for someone else on the side. Pick a second team and dive into that community.
And here's another thing for me. Don't let the football school, basketball school, don't let that, cloud you. Obviously,
you don't have to.
You don't have to let that, in your judgment of, the how many times have we seen it? Is the Big Ten drunk? Indiana football's undefeated and Nebraska basketball's undefeated. And I've said this ad nauseum. If you follow me on socials, what your program once was or used to be has never meant less than in the year 2026. And a man from Hammond, Louisiana, who got his heart ripped out last night in Phoenix, he said, we don't recruit on tradition, we recruit on trajectory. And, don't think about what the program's been. Think about what it could be
and how you get it there.
You got to accept what it is now. Acceptance is a big part of it. Acceptance is a big part of it.
Being honest with yourself.
I'm not going to name names or name programs, but acceptance is a big part of things. And you have to accept where you're at and think of what it takes to get there. An example of an example in the Big Ten, Nebraska's going to go there in a couple of weeks. The Minnesota Golden Gophers. I left my
where's the hoodie?
I left my Gophers hoodie at home. Shame on me. They got a big game coming up tonight too. College football playoff. What do you mean? Minnesota USC at the barn. But there's Nico Medved put it so perfectly after they beat Iowa earlier this week. He said, I thought this when we got here. I thought this before I got here. There's no reason we can't bring it back. There's no reason we can't build this up. There's no reason we can't fill this building. Like, because he said college basketball matters in the Twin Cities, but college sports matters in the Twin Cities. Like, college sports matters in all these communities. And, Minnesota basketball, like, they play in the quirkiest, it's close between
non-Vanderbilt arena.
Well, I was thinking about the Big Ten. Like, where Nebraska plays tomorrow that's pretty quirky as well. But Minnesota basketball, like, they told Tubby Smith 15 years ago, we'll have a new arena for you, and they're still playing in the barn.
How about that one?
But now they've got now they've got an alum who grew up going to games in that building, who was a manager, who has like done it the hard way, and he's, obviously I have bias on the subject. He's one of the most underappreciated coaches in college basketball. Runs a beautiful offense, is committed to his system, is committed to, is committed to an identity, and he's never going to lack confidence in, like, we can do this. Like, obviously, he's not going to have oars on their jerseys or in their tunnel, like the guy whose stadium is, just down a couple blocks. But, he's, there's no, like, you don't let the past cloud your judgment of where these programs can go, because it's like, don't let the past cloud your judgment of what they should be, or like, that should always be the way it is. Like it takes time, it takes effort. There's so much that goes into it. And it's a process at the end of the day. And it's, and Nebraska basketball fans, like, and they're the skeptics, who just waiting for the other shoe to drop, just waiting for the bottom to fall out.
If they don't make an Elite Eight, they're fraudulent.
They're fraudulent. Yeah, Jeff. Good Lord. Bad. But like, just enjoy the ride. You don't just have a seat. You're at the front. If this was a movie, you're not just, you don't just have the projection screen out. Like,
right.
You're seeing it in IMAX. You're seeing it, and you've got the best seat you could have in college basketball, because you're halfway home and the possibilities are endless.
Don't give it up because you want to see the sequel already.
No,
movie's not done being written yet.
Nope. There's a reason movies are so long now. There's a reason movies are so long now, because they're meant to be experiences, and enjoy the experience, enjoy the ride, and just like embrace that the possibilities of where this could go are endless. Don't overthink it. Don't think about, like, don't be power ranking where you want to go, the third weekend in March quite yet. Like, you're gonna go anyway. You want to see history. You want to be there for it. Like,
look at the trees. The forest will always be there.
Yeah, forest will always be there.
Find a very pretty tree. Find a nice leaf. Enjoy. All right, we'll go to break. Plenty more to talk about on the Blue Blood realm. Maybe that's Nebraska. Maybe it's not. We'll be back with more of the Corner 3 in a sec.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
MWR, a local company of Lincoln, is proud to announce they are able to offer their own post-frame building packages in metal to anyone desiring a building, whether you're a contractor or a DIYer. They can install your building as always, and they offer multiple different rib profiles and loads of color options, including the wood grain metal at great competitive prices. You can inquire at mwrbuildingandfence.com, or just draw your desired building and submit it in their contact us page, and they'll get back to you. Call MWR today at 402-540-8966.
Empire Netting and Fence delivers top quality netting and fence solutions. From major sports venues to backyard installs and everything in between, coast to coast. We take on tough jobs with grit, integrity, and a strong commitment to safety. Empire is growing, and we're hiring motivated people ready to grow with us. We build each other up, and we're building something big. Think you've got what it takes? Apply now at empire-fence.com. That's empire-fence.com.
Are you tired of living in pain? At Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, they make it simple. From head to toe, spine to extremities, they've got you covered. Their multi-specialty team of experts in orthopedic surgery, plastic surgery, podiatry, physical therapy, and occupational therapy all work under one roof to get you back to living life pain-free. Don't wait another day. Visit prairie-ortho.com today or call them at 402-489-4700. Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, where healing begins.
Tomorrow is about the lessons we learn today. A farmer's market teaches us that community is grown together. Kids laughing shows us how joy is easy. And coffee on the porch reminds us to savor every moment. These are the lessons that shape a tomorrow we all share. One filled with trust, good company, and wide open dreams. That's the way banking should be. And that's Pinnacle Bank. Member FDIC.
If you're seeking a career with a growing company, Gaina Trucking and Excavating is hiring and looking for additions to their team. Gaina Trucking has a strong team culture, competitive pay, 401ks, and benefits like health, dental, and vision. Drivers are guaranteed 40 hours per week, even in the winter months, and are home every night. Start your career today at Gaina Trucking and Excavating. Apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Hey Husker Nation, this is Todd Euler, two-time national champion, here to talk to you about Window World Lincoln. At Window World, we specialize in replacement windows, doors, siding, and roofing. Whether you're looking to enhance the beauty of your home or increase its energy efficiency, we've got you covered. And here's the best part. We offer the best for less. Our team is dedicated to providing top quality products and exceptional service at affordable prices. We want to earn your business and make your home improvement dreams a reality. So why wait? Contact Window World Lincoln today at 464-7313 or visit our website at WindowWorldLincoln.com. Window World Lincoln, where quality meets affordability.
Let's fly. Your next trip starts at Lincoln Airport with American Airlines. Now flying nonstop service to Dallas, Fort Worth, and Chicago. American Airlines connects Lincoln to major hubs and destinations around the globe. Wherever you're headed, LNK gets you there with new nonstop flights on American Airlines.
Now boarding.
Convenient, fast, and stress-free. Book your next flight at LincolnAirport.com. LNK, make flying easy.
Bauer Underground has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know that the best workers in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and a pedigree of success. They're offering top-notch benefits, a matching 401k, and a $600 per year clothing allowance. Bauer Underground, a family-friendly company with plenty of room for advancement.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Now I'm playing for real.
Yeah, you're doing pretty good. What play should I call now? Maybe corner three.
He's hot. He is hot. Keep feeding that guy. Back to the corner three on 93.7 The Ticket. Here is your host, Austin Orman.
Thank you very much. Welcome back in. It is the quarter three. Austin Orman here, joined as always by at Jacob A. Bigelow, president again of the Braden Frager Island Homeowners Association. Property is a little too expensive for me now, so I will just plan on booking a vacation there someday. My condo has already been purchased by someone else. So
did you hold on to your Nick Janowski property? You're not gonna get like your money all the way back, but you could get power conference bounce back, ROI next year with what he's been doing at St. Thomas this year.
I'm not selling it the Nadir. I might be able to get 90% back.
Okay.
But
okay.
We'll have to see. Kentucky fans, speaking of buyer's remorse, let's dive into some comments being made in Lexington. We got comments from Mo Diabate and Mark Pope, who ended up letting his Rick Pitino show a little bit. Let me just ask you, dear listener, and you, Jacob, if the following comments sound like a blue blood that is in a good spot right now.
What was the most frustrating part of the film once you guys broke it down of getting back in town and kind of regrouping after the weekend?
The most frustrating part was seeing that we could have did better at the scouting report, because it felt like they was doing the same thing over and over, and just thinking like we could have did a lot better, on the defensive side with the attention to detail and the personnel. We should have took it more seriously.
there's no time for indulging in feeling terrible. I spent a lot of time feeling like I'd like to curl up in bed and kill myself, but that's actually not what we do. We raise up and we get to work and we find answers. And that's actually where the great part of life comes from, is answering the bell when everybody thinks you can't do it, shouldn't do it, won't do it, aren't going to do it. Most people are too scared to go there. We're not, right? I wish we weren't here right now, but it's where we are. And so it's us rising up and doing it. So there's no time, there's no hangover. That's not acceptable. It's not okay.
Thank you to Kentucky Sports Radio for the audio there. But lack of attention to detail in the scouting report against Alabama for Kentucky. And I can't stress the depths to which Mark Pope went full Rick Pitino in that quote. Like, he actually said something like that last year. That does not sound like a blue blood in a healthy spot. Mark Pope now 17-18 against high major competition at Kentucky.
Yeah, and when you've got like I will never understand like being ill prepared as a power conference basketball coach. Like, I will not, like, with all the data and film and everything that's at your disposal, and some of these programs have coaching staffs that are like small militias who have, guys whose job is analytics and analytic trends and that sort of thing, like, and against a conference opponent and
that you should disdain.
Pope's got, he's got a former SEC head coach on his staff too, and Mark Fox, like Alvin Brooks, who's a longtime Scott Drew guy. Like, he's got a good staff. He's got a $20 million team, reportedly,
which is probably overpaid for at this point, because I mean, your headliners are a guy in Jane Quains, who your top 5 NBA draft talent potentially, but played for Bobby Hurley. And how's that going? 13-18, whatever, last year. You get Jalen Lau from Pitt. I mean, 38% on a mediocre-ish team. And you get, Alabama's 7th, 8th best guy in Diabate to transfer in. Florida's 7th or 8th best guy in Aberdeen to transfer in. Kentucky gets the benefit of the doubt when it comes to talent, but are we overrating Kentucky's talent? Did they spend too much?
Yeah, and like I said in my soliloquy in the last segment, like, how much benefit of the doubt are they getting because their jersey says Kentucky, and just preconceived notions, and are people forgetting like how the end of the Calipari era at Kentucky went? Like, it's
Right.
not like they haven't exactly been like firing on all cylinders. They wound up with like their 5th or 6th choice in Pope, who is an alum, and Rick, my dear friend, Mock Pope, and Rick Pitino's words, Mock Pope. But like, it's that situation. I mean, that's a whole, like, did we overrate their talent? Absolutely. I think, did they? I mean, there was no question they overpaid. Like, I mean, where were the financials coming? Like, how did that end up like that? Like, well, I mean, that's just like that math ain't mathin'. Like, where do you see 20 million worth of talent on that roster? Like, it's just, that's a head scratcher. And I guess a part of, or a prerequisite to be a Rick Pitino guy is references to self-harm when your team is not, playing well. So,
and that's probably the nadir of blue bloods right now. Things are not much better in terms of the relationship between Darren Peterson and Kansas fans. That's a funky one. No Bill Self audio to that effect, right? But Darren Peterson sat out a lot of time with, as I saw on Twitter, pulled pork hamstrings, which is just a wildly kind of funny definition of what's going on. But the man can ball. He's played both the Big 12 games so far. He's played 55 minutes for Kansas in the loss at UCF, and then the overtime win against TCU, which Jamie Dixon needs to be taken to trial for. That was a disaster class in blowing that one. Darren Peterson, 16 makes on, what would that be, 35 attempts so far in conference play. He's 8 of 18 from deep and an 18 of 21 at the free throw line, 12 rebounds in those 2 games. When the man plays, he is incredible. I sent you and Big Game Willie this stat from Jim Root. Gus Yalden, the Gus Bus, one-time Nebraska target, one-time Wisconsin and Seton Hall guy, is now at Vermont, taking shots on 38% of the possessions that he's on the court. Darren Peterson's at 38% right now, 38.4. Doesn't have enough minutes to qualify and is taking shots on 44.7% of Kansas's possessions in those 55 minutes in the Big 12 so far. Thanks again to Jim Root for that stat, which this Kansas team needs. Like, I'm sorry, Melvin Council doesn't move the needle for me offensively. Floyd Badunga can't be getting that much offense by himself. But this is a Kansas fan base who had Joel Embiid before everything broke down. Josh Jackson at Kansas as well. I mean, Kansas hasn't really dealt with guys being in and out of the lineup like this. Biggs, what do you make of the Kansas fans' reaction to, well, I guess everything that went down in the first couple games of Big 12 play and Darren Peterson's availability or lack thereof?
Yeah, it's it's another very head-scratching situation. We talked before at the start of the year about what the ideal situation for Kansas is going to be this year. Like, Peterson's the guy. The attention he's going to get, opens up looks for some of these, maybe questionable members of the supporting cast.
Mm-hmm.
They go out to Vegas. They go 3-0 without him. And
Without
it's
him.
like, is this encouraging? Like, could this be a good thing to happen to them? The biggest thing, and I've said this, I feel like since I started coming on this show, is like, where is the Kansas offense? Like, what is their goal on the offensive end? Like, the Hunter Dickinson experience. Clearly, some people still have post Hunter Dickinson stress. And it's the highest paid guy is always going to be the most scrutinized guy, obviously. But like, it's when you hear these former players, your Frank Masons, and there's guys who are like, I don't care if I was hurt. Like, you only get to play so many games down Fieldhouse. Like, I'm not gonna
walk off the court with 2.5 minutes left. My teammates throwing me a pass just to sub myself back in later to play the hero, just to sub myself out again.
Yeah, and that was also the biggest Allen Fieldhouse voodoo magic I've ever seen in my.
It was Jamie
entire
Dixon and
life.
Allen Fieldhouse.
A little bit of both. A little bit of both. There's ghosts. There's ghosts
there
in
ever?
there. I've been
there.
They've renovated it. Like, what they didn't renovate? There's ghosts in there. There's voodoo. There's ghosts. There's all sorts of stuff in that building. But yeah, I mean, you want, if you were looking at Kansas with your crimson and blue colored glasses coming into the year, I don't think anyone expected them to light the world on fire, but they expected Peterson to. When he's played, he has, but it's just like, the best ability is availability. And he, it's just, how close are we to a Kyrie or, something like that situation, or, Jamar Chase, where it's just like,
which, to be fair, Kyrie did end up with surgery. It was a foot surgery, and there was that. Peterson's a soft tissue thing. Hasn't been a tear, just a pull, a strain or whatnot. And I get the young man prioritizing his NBA future. I mean, you're Kansas. You should be used to some of that, right? You're a breeding ground for future professionals. But man, the one that just didn't sit right with me was just what I said, Jacob, where, you're in and out of the game. You're playing pretty well. You walk off the court in the middle of a possession because it tightens up on you. Just to sub back in, I don't know if he drew in his mind it up with him, taking that last three and getting fouled. But it looks like you subbed yourself back in to play the hero just to then not play again in overtime.
Yeah,
that would rub me the wrong way if I'm a Kansas fan.
Oh, 1,000%. And that's, we're talking blue bloods. We're talking about, we've talked a lot about what programs once were and history and all that tonight. But I mean, Kansas, the standard at Kansas basketball for Kansas basketball, it's always going to be probably a little too high. Given the current state of the sport. There is no coach in the game right now who you could ask has it passed him question more than now skinny Bill Self, and
right.
He's got more stints in his heart than he has Final Fours in the last decade. And it's a whole that's no slight to heart conditions by any means. That's a statement of facts. Like whenever they're playing bad, I gotta genuinely worry about him because he's had actual health problems. Yes. And it's just like I thought last year's Kansas team might put him out. Like, to be honest, that whole just, I saw him up close multiple times, and that was an absolute disaster. It's like, maybe after the years of just here's a bag, just bit like Oprah, you get a bag, you get a bag, you get a bag, you get a bag. Come on down. Like you
Snoop Dogg and the Dancers.
You hoped that maybe maybe he'd learned a lesson. And there's still like the roster construction, the lack of offensive identity. It's pretty perplexing. Like Kansas basketball, with all the history, with all the money, with all the tradition, they don't have anyone who can make a three.
Shots.
They don't have any guys who can make shots.
No.
That's might be the most like perplexing part of it all, in my opinion.
Okay, do we want the ghosts out of Allen Fieldhouse, or do we like the ghosts at Allen Fieldhouse?
I'm pro ghosts.
You are?
I'm pro.
Okay.
I'm pro ghosts. Because I'm a history nerd, and the ghosts have seen it. The ghosts have seen it. They lived it, and now they're seeing more of it. And I like it's it all comes back to connections to the past, whether it's ghosts or perceived identities of your favorite college football program or college basketball program. But I'm pro ghost. I mean, that's especially at Allen Fieldhouse. I'm sure Dr. Naismith is still wandering around there, keeping watch on the rules.
For my anti-ghosts people and my Ghostbusters crew, I'm trying to figure out like if we can go like full Nick Cage. I'm gonna steal the Declaration of Independence with the original rules of the game. And who plays college basketball? Nick Cage. I'm somewhere between Milan Momcilovic and Emmanuel Sharp.
Milan Momcilovic. Yeah.
Jerome Tang, hero turn.
Yeah. If Iowa State's social media people somehow see this clip, like when you guys go to Allen Fieldhouse on Tuesday night in a couple weeks, Milan as Nick Cage, like with the original rules of basketball, they'd get one like, and it would be from me. If that was what, like, I'm gonna steal the original rules of basketball. Milwaukee, Wisconsin's finest, Milan Momcilovic. I'll see him in person tomorrow. But there's
there we go.
There's a tease. But it's a weird time for the Blue Bloods, not just in basketball and in a lot of different sports. But between Kentucky and Kansas and the whatever the hell North Carolina is,
they're closer to back on track, which is why I begrudgingly left them out of this.
Yeah.
Begrudgingly, I tell you.
Yeah. And then there's also a blue blood of the sports who, in any other season, year one of a new basketball coach in Bloomington, Indiana, would be under quite the microscope. But now, due to circumstances and a man named Kurt. How much would Bob Knight have loved Kurt Signetti, by the way?
Oh man.
How much
you would have adopted him on the spot?
How much would Bob Knight have loved Kurt Signetti? But that's who
Pat who?
Yeah. Yep. But that's where Nebraska's off to next. One of the blue bloods of the sport. It's a weird time. It's a weird time for tradition coalitions across America in the college landscape.
We pontificated in our first segment. We'll take a break here, be back to briefly wrap things up with a look at the weekend ahead, including Nebraska in Bloomington, Minnesota, hosting USC the weekend in the Big Ten and beyond. He's Jacob Bigelow. I'm Austin Norman. One more segment of the Corner 3 in a sec.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Hi, I'm Scott Miller, Business Development Officer at Midwest Bank's Lincoln branches. As a lifelong Lincolnite with over 30 years of experience in financial management, I'm here to help your business grow and succeed. My focus is building strong relationships with businesses and clients across Lincoln. Because at Midwest Bank, we believe banking is about people, not just numbers. Visit us at midwest.bank or stop by one of our Lincoln locations. Your community, your bank. Midwest Bank. Member FDIC.
This is your year to win way more than bragging rights. At Warhorse Casino, your love of the game could earn you serious cash. The Pro Football Frenzy is free to play with cash prizes all season long, like up to $1,000 weekly, with your chance at $1 million, all while earning tier points and comp points every time you place a sports bet. Only at Warhorse Casino. Wagers may only be placed on Nebraska-based teams when played outside the state of Nebraska. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Gambling problem? Call 1-833-BET-OVER.
Big value and big flavor meet at Wings and Rings, thanks to the all-new delicious Duo Combo. This is the one you've been waiting for. Get one half-sized appetizer and 2 entrees with a side for only $19.99. Bring a friend for the best deal in town on any day of the week, during game time, or whenever the heck you want.
Their made-to-order wings and chicken sandwiches are waiting for you at their 68th and O and 40th and Old Cheney location. Stop by Wings and Rings and celebrate every day with the best meal deal in town. All right, Lincoln, if you're a diesel technician who's ready to earn up to $40 an hour and you're tired of working nights and weekends, listen up. Inland Truck Parts and Service is hiring experienced diesel technicians right here in Lincoln, and they're offering what every hardworking tech wants. Monday through Friday hours, no nights, no weekends, and paid training on advanced diesel technology. With 37 locations across 12 states, career advancement opportunities are endless. Start building towards your future and apply today at inlandtruck.com. That's inlandtruck.com. Or text APPLY to 785-369-1320.
Are you tired of living in pain? At Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, they make it simple. From head to toe, spine to extremities, they've got you covered. Their multi-specialty team of experts in orthopedic surgery, plastic surgery, podiatry, physical therapy, and occupational therapy all work under one roof to get you back to living life pain-free. Don't wait another day. Visit prairie-ortho.com today or call them at 402-489-4700. Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, where healing begins.
Lincoln's go-to for fun isn't new. It's a place that's been a staple of the city for years and is only getting better. Matson's Bowling and Billiards always has open bowling available with no long lines, unlike other centers. They have live music almost every weekend and great food at EJ's Bar and Lounge, with seating for 150 people. They have popular meals like the EJ Burger, pizza for the whole family, and famous EJ's Wings. Contact Sarah to book a party for friends, coworkers, or family at Matson's Bowling and Billiards, just south of 48th and Holdridge.
If you're seeking a career with a growing company, Gaina Trucking and Excavating is hiring and looking for additions to their team. Gaina Trucking has a strong team culture, competitive pay, 401ks, and benefits like health, dental, and vision. Drivers are guaranteed 40 hours per week, even in the winter months, and are home every night. Start your career today at Gaina Trucking and Excavating. Apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Hi, nice to meet you. Can I have that? Hang out over here for a second. Corner three!
You gotta get out there, Cleveland.
I'm trying. He's taking advantage of poor technology.
Back to the corner three on 93.7 The Ticket. Here is your host, Austin Orman.
All right, we got to be out of here pretty quick. I know Biggs has some high school hoops to see. If you're listening live, that is. If you're listening to the podcast, you're like, who cares? Keep the party rolling. Well, Big loves high school hoops, and I got a wife and kids to get home, too. So, to each our own. Thanks to everyone chiming in on the show. Jacob, you mentioned a big weekend in college hoops. It always is. Nebraska, Indiana. I've seen Nebraska favored. I've seen Indiana favored. Your read on this matchup, just briefly.
I think it's going to be pretty similar to Illinois. I think it's going to be high scoring. It's two very similar teams, two very old teams. There's going to be a lot of threes taken.
Over under 73.5. That's been my line.
Slight under.
Okay.
Lot of old Missouri Valley flavor in this game as well. Rink Mast has alluded to it. He was. Tucker DeVries won Valley Player of the Year over Rink when he was still at Bradley. Drake
upset Bradley and Drake Madness.
Beat the bricks off Bradley in an upset in St. Louis to go to the NCAA tournament. Some of his former coaches from Bradley are now on the staff with D-Rock at IU, as is Lincoln's own Mike Bargan, Gary Bargan's son, former 90s Nebraska assistant Gary Bargan, his son Mike, who I think is an East grad. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. He's the special assistant to the head coach. So there's a lot of local flavor for Indiana, and a lot of Missouri Valley flavor for Indiana, Nebraska tomorrow. I think it's gonna be tight. I think it's gonna be, I'm interested to see how Nebraska defends IU. Because IU doesn't
same way they defend everyone.
Well, they don't play through the post a lot. Like, that's the thing. They don't really play through the post. Washington came out and was like, we're gonna triangle and two these guys and dare everyone not named Lamar Wilkerson or Tucker DeVries to make shots. And unfortunately for them, everyone made shots. But I think it's gonna be fun. It could be a track meet, and I'm interested to see what the vibes are at Assembly Hall the morning after IU football maybe punches its ticket to a national championship game. So
here's your Minnesota minute. Go for it.
Big one tonight. USC.
After a big one, they beat Iowa. Give them the pig, dang it.
They beat Iowa. The best start to Big Ten play for Minnesota basketball since Bill Musselman. Well, for a first-year head coach. The first start to Big Ten play for a first-year head coach since Bill Musselman. And what do you know? Bill's son is back home at the barn tonight. Nico Medved's doing more with less. They're down 2 starters for the year. And they're still getting it done. I don't think they're going to make the NCAA tournament or set the world on fire by any means. They're going to play hard. They're going to, I like them tonight. I haven't really liked USC this year. And that
Rodney Rice out for the year.
That would be 6 in a row. That would be 6 in a row for the Gophs. I'm interested. Yeah, I'm looking forward to making the drive up 29 in a couple weeks to go to the barn.
You mentioned Hilton tomorrow.
Hilton tomorrow. My first side quest of the basketball season. It's taken until January. That's far too long. Okie State, Iowa State, 3:00 game. I'm gonna have to follow along with Nebraska IU in the car. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And I can already taste the clone cone. I'm so excited. I'm so excited for this clone cone.
You get Tennessee, Florida, Kansas, West Virginia come to mind for me. Georgia Tech and Miami. Miami sneaky big favorite, about 2 touchdowns in that one. And no, it's not football. Can Wisconsin do the unthinkable? Probably not on the road at Michigan, but never say never against John Blackwell. Houston, Baylor intrigues me a little bit. LSU, Vandy, maybe.
No, I
Nebraska's rooting for LSU in that one.
I'm in on Vandy, man.
Yeah, they're
I'm
good.
in on Vandy. I'm in on Byington. I'm in on what's his name?
Tyler Tanner.
Tyler Tanner. I love me some Tyler Tanner. I Vandy basketball, that weird arena, all the quirks of it. I'm in on Vandy. And LSU, credit to Matt McMahon, who was like left for dead. His governor still really doesn't want him to have his job.
Right.
And he's, getting some good stuff from Dedon Thomas, former Omaha Maverick, Markel Sutton. They've got an athletic group. They're an interesting team. They're definitely
nothing more than that.
Not very polished, very polished, but they find ways to get it done. So that'll be a fun one as well. And
St. John's gets to knock Creighton off course.
Yeah.
CHI tomorrow.
I'm very curious. This is a Lincoln show, but I'm very curious what Omaha Italian establishment is getting Rick Pitino's business tonight. I'm sure, and hopefully he tips well. He's probably really sad there's no snow for him to go jump out and jump into tonight.
You also get Yale, Princeton in the Ivy, Kansas State at Arizona State in the Disappointment Bowl. Arizona at TCU. You mentioned Pokes and Clones. That one will hold my attention. Then as we move to Sunday, Iowa. How do they respond to that loss that they almost had? Almost snatched victory from the jaws of defeat before Minnesota made one more play. Illinois will head out to Iowa in that top 20 matchup. Northwestern and Rutgers, and then Ohio State continues its road swing at Washington. Because we won't have time to talk on the show about this, you and me. Oregon, what in the world? Dana, what is going on? I know Shellstad's out, but good grief.
The vibes for Oregon coming to PBA next week are going to be quite low. They're on the struggle bus for sure. Might even be driving it, to be quite honest. And I mean,
them in Maryland.
Them in Maryland. I don't know what the lack of Buzz Williams. It's not palpable Buzz Williams. It's lack of buzz. Because you could argue he's probably last in the new Big Ten coach
power rankings
right now, just based on vibes alone. It's not good for the Terps right now.
And that is the official term, the official final word. Biggs, great to have you back.
Thanks for having me, brother.
Safe travel to Hilton tomorrow.
Yeah, always good. Thanks for having me. And anyone who listened to me wax poetic about everything, just giving a soliloquy to the people in Lincoln. But yeah, thanks for having me, brother. It's always a good time.
If you're listening live, stay with us tomorrow afternoon. Nebraska Indiana postgame coming up at 1. We'll talk more about that game, and then Nebraska Oregon as we get into next week on Old School. He's on Twitter at Jacob A. Bigelow. I'm there at Austin_Orman. Give us a follow. Appreciate you checking it out, whether you're listening live here on 93.7 The Ticket or via whatever your favorite podcast platform is. For Biggs, I'm Austin. We'll talk again soon.
Get rid of pesky critters once and for all with Bats to Rats. Their expert team is here to help you reclaim your home. No more sleepless nights caused by crawling critters or flapping wings. Bats to Rats ensures a safe environment for every family member. Check the website at batstorats.com for amazing offers. And if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Call Bats to Rats today at 402-781-8691. That's 402-781-8691. Bats to Rats.
Tomorrow is about the lessons we learn today. A farmer's market teaches us that community is grown together. Kids laughing shows us how joy is easy. And coffee on the porch reminds us to savor every moment. These are the lessons that shape a tomorrow we all